Hello and welcome to the Downsized. My name is Laraine Durham and this is our weekly weigh-in where we weigh in on lots of different topics from our weight to what's going on in the week to questions we have from Downsized viewers and a lot more. So welcome. I've lost 50 pounds on compounded tripeptide and my dear husband here of 22 years.
100
What's
pounds.
Your name again?
Oh, Christopher, absolutely. Christopher Durham. I've lost 100 pounds or a little bit more, but yeah.
And what did you use to lose that weight?
Tirzepatide, Zepbound and Mounjaro.
It's Sunday, June 29th, and we're glad you're here. Please click the like and subscribe button so you will always know what we're doing and what we're up to. We publish videos every day on all kinds of GLP-1 related topics, from news to weight loss to interviews with other people on GLP-1s, tips, etc.
And of course, we always like to remind you that we're not doctors. We're just an average suburban couple who found these medications and have done well with them and wanted to tell people about it and build a community around it. So please, if you're thinking about starting a weight loss journey using GLP-1s, please talk to your doctor, your medical provider, and get a plan built just for you.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So what are we talking about today, Christopher?
Well, we're going to kind of break it up into three segments.
We have a lot going on, or we had a lot going on.
Yeah. So 3 segments. The first segment will be the traditional, what did you weigh this week? How did you do? Mm-hmm. The second, we'll do a bit of a recap on the cruise and tell you guys more about that. It'll allow me to cut in some fun pictures from the cruise as well. And then finally, we'll close out with the questions from viewers.
Alrighty. Well, we are starting week 90 in our GLP-1 journey. We started on September 29th of 2023, and today is 6/29 of 2025. Mm-hmm. So we just ended week 89, and that's where we are today. How was your week? How was your week, Christopher?
Well, we were on a cruise, so, it changes. But let's start at the very beginning, of course, September 29th of 2023. I started at 286.4 pounds. And over the course of about 50 weeks, give or take, I don't keep a spreadsheet like she does, but I do have it on my app. I lost really down to my goal weight of, my original goal was 190 pounds and then got to 186, which was my secondary goal weight. So a little more than 100 pounds. Down to 104 and some change was the lowest I've been. And then I've been in maintenance since then. So been on the highest dose of tirzepatide. So 15 milligrams now for going on, 18, 19 weeks. Continue to do that on a weekly basis. It seems to be working just fine for me. In maintenance, it's that constant give and take. So, how are you adjusting your medication? How are you eating differently? So adding some more calories into it because I want to stay within a 3-pound range. And so far I've been able to do that. As you mentioned, we were on the cruise and we'll go into detail on the cruise. But I would think if you look from last week, I'm about 1.4 pounds up from last week. So my weight this week is actually 186.4, so an even 100 pounds down from my original weight. Still well within what I consider my center weight of 185 pounds. Really up 3, down 3 is where I feel comfortable right now. So I count that as a win. Mm-hmm. We were on a cruise. There was lots of food. There was lots of people. There was lots of things going on.
So you're up 1.4 from the cruise.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's not that bad.
Honestly, I think a lot of it was from the airport and the plane and water retention. So I'm not worried about it. We took our shots normally on Friday, so we took it the Friday before we left. And then we should have taken it on Friday as well, but we didn't get back till midnight because the plane got delayed. So we actually took it Saturday morning.
Right.
So yeah, we're doing pretty good. How about you?
Well, I started the same time as you, September 29th, 2023, and now it's June 29th.
Okay.
See how that works? June 29th, 2025. So in that time, my starting weight was 193 pounds. I lost 50-ish pounds, and I've been bouncing around in that range for about a year. I've been on maintenance. So I lost an average of 1.58 pounds per week. So last week, before we left for the cruise, I was 143.6, And today I am 142.6. So I lost a pound on the cruise.
Yay.
I wasn't trying to lose weight, but I didn't go crazy with things either. Like I definitely ate more than I usually eat. I had a few glasses of wine, but we were also very active. So we did a snorkeling excursion. We did line dancing on the deck. I did an exercise class. I did a stretching class. I did sing-alongs and silent discos and all kinds of things that had movement in them. I took the stairs, not every time, but I did take the stairs a lot on the cruise ships. We were on the 10th floor and the buffet was on 14 and our event space was on 5. So there was a lot of up and down from there, and I think that helped. I was very pleasantly surprised. I honestly, when I got on the scale, I really thought it could have gone either way. I was fully expecting to be up 2 or 3, so it was a nice surprise to be down 1.
So there was a question I didn't print it out about your dosing, and you always speak to your dosing, so I figured I won't print it out. But you've been up or down a little bit, and this past week, were you up on your dose a little bit? I don't remember. Remind me.
Right. So before we left for the cruise, I had been. Well, let me back up. So my highest dose I took while I was losing weight was a 12.5 milligram dose of compounded tirzepatide. Once I hit my goal weight, which was originally 150 pounds, I started coming down in dose because a year and a half ago, I thought that's what we were supposed to do. Let me see if I can take less. Also, just to conserve the medication. Anyway, so I dropped down in dose, and I did a 10 milligram dose, and then I dropped to a 7.5 milligram dose for a while, and then I dropped to a 5 milligram dose. So in April of 2025, I got to a 5 milligram dose, and I was on that 5 milligram dose through April and May. We went to Amsterdam for business / a little vacation, and we forgot to take our shot. Mm-hmm. And when we forgot to take our shot, we came back, took our shot, and I had gained like 3 or 4 pounds on our week trip to Amsterdam. And I had gained some weight. I went back to the 5 milligram dose, and I couldn't. Usually my weight just comes right back down. If we travel, the weight goes up a little bit. I get back on. I get back to my.
But it was holding. You weren't still gaining weight, right?
No, it just held. So my weight went up to 144, which is actually no big deal. But before we went to Amsterdam, I had been as low as 138. So we went to Amsterdam. I came back. It was 144. I did 5 milligram shot. Still at 144. Another 5 milligram shot. I'm still at 144, and I'm like, why isn't my weight adjusting? So I went to an 8 milligram dose. Still at 144. I did another 8 milligram dose, and then I got to 142.6. So I said, okay, we're rolling now. So then we come up to last week, and we were taking our shot before we left for Florida for the cruise, and I pulled out of my vial the last little bit, and I said, oh, there's some extra in there. Let me just take a little bit extra.
Please talk to your doctor about adjusting your medication.
I am not a doctor, but you don't want to waste this stuff, right? And it wasn't enough for another full dose. And I'm not one who likes to take 2 shots, and I'm not going to pull out of one vial and, once it comes out of the vial, it's either going in my body or going in the trash, right? So I thought, well, let me just see how much I can pull out. And I said, oh, this is just a little bit more. And so I injected it, and then I did the calculation, and I actually had injected 10 milligrams. So I went from 8 milligrams to 10 milligrams before we went on the cruise. Did that make a difference? I don't.
Well, you're down a pound, so it didn't hurt.
I'm down a pound. It didn't hurt anything, right? So maybe that was helpful. So when we came back from the cruise, like Christopher said, we came back late Friday night, so we didn't take our shot. It was midnight. I didn't even think about it. So Saturday, we after lunch, we took our shot, and I decided I would go to a 7.5 milligram dose. So right now in my refrigerator, I have all Empower vials left. I think you might have one Brello.
No, we didn't order from. We have some from Orderly.
Oh, Brello doesn't ship to us. You got some from Orderly.
And I don't remember the name of that pharmacy. ProRx, maybe. I think there's 2.5 vials in there.
Yeah. So anyway, we've been trying to stock up.
As well as some Zepbound.
We do. Well, it's a lot of people on medication in our house, so we have a variety in our refrigerator. So we've, my fear is always, well, what if the power goes out? We have cold packs in the freezer, so if that were to happen, we could move everything to our. It's not a Yeti cooler, but it's the
Walmart version.
The Walmart version of the Yeti cooler. So if that happens, that would keep it cold for long enough for us to get to somewhere with electricity and a refrigerator, hopefully.
Well, so speak about maintenance then, because I've pretty much stayed on the same dose, and depending on which doctor you listen to, there's a lot of thought process around there, but you've adjusted your dose. I know Dr. Dan talked about that some. When we did an interview with Dr. Dan out of Canada.
Yeah, so we did an interview with Dr. Dan. He is out of Canada. He gives very straightforward, practical speaking language advice on GLP-1s, which I love, right? Because
go check out his channel. It's cool.
Yeah, go check out Dr. Dan. He and I were talking about maintenance when he did an interview with us, and we had this whole conversation about, well, what do I do when I go on vacation? And he said, sometimes people like to lose it. He was talking about how using the medicine as a tool to adjust to what's going on in your life. And that's kind of what I've been doing. So if I need a little additional help, I'm moving my dose up slightly. And I feel like now that I've been on this medication for 90 weeks, I'm figuring out what my body needs, how my food noise levels are, how my hunger levels are, and how I can work this medication into my lifestyle. Does that make sense? I don't know. So anyway, that's what I'm doing. And I do keep a spreadsheet of the week that I'm on, the date of the shot, the dosage, my weight, the pounds different, and any notes I want to keep for that week. One of our Downsized cruisers, Lynn, brought to show me her spreadsheet. So she took this same basic concept, but just made it with more columns for a lot more things. And so, hi, Lynn. So she sent me a copy of her spreadsheet. Thank you, Lynn. And she has things like, tracking her poop, tracking her water intake, which, all of these things are important on a GLP-1 journey, right? You want to drink enough water. You want to make sure you're going to the bathroom, because all that's important. So I do like to keep this in addition to our scale that has an app that Bluetooths to our phone that puts our weight.
Scale.
Yeah, the Renfro scale. So I never can say that right.
Renfro.
Renfro.
RENPHO.
It's on our Amazon store. So if you go to thedownsized.org, you can find a link to some things we like on our Amazon store. We're Amazon affiliates. We make a very small commission on each purchase, but it helps to support our channel. So thank you very much. What else?
I think that's it for that part.
That's it for that part. So,
all right, so
I lost a pound on the cruise.
Yeah, she lost a pound on the cruise.
That's hilarious, because that's never happened to me in my whole life.
So the cruise. So let's talk through it a little bit. The cruise was this past week, June 3rd, or I'm saying the wrong date, June
23rd to the 27th.
Out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
On Celebrity Reflection.
Went to beautiful Nassau and Bimini, Bahamas, and had 54 people there. Yeah. Mostly GLP-1 users, viewers, a few family and friends, children kind of thing. But mostly things. And we had a great time. I mean, was it what you expected?
Yes and no. I mean, it was, everybody felt like they knew us, right? You're watching me right now. Maybe you've been watching us for a while. You feel like you know my stories, our journey. And some of the cruisers I'd done Downsized Dish interviews with. A lot of them we've done Downsized Dish interviews with. And so I've talked to them, through the computer a little bit, but never face-to-face in person, well, except for Mel B. We did get to meet her before the cruise. But anyway, so meeting these people in person, it was such a interesting experience for me, because some people I didn't even know their faces. Like they don't even have a face or a profile pic, or I was just meeting them.
Cat.
Right, it's their cat, so I'm meeting them for the first time, and they're like, Laraine, it's Christopher, it's you guys, and I'm like, hi, what is your name? I don't know you. I don't know you yet. So it was great to meet people and talk to people. And I didn't know if people would want to, it's a cruise and there's a lot to do. And I didn't know if people would want to, do all the things there is to do on a cruise, if they'd be interested in hanging out with us or eating dinner, breakfast, lunch with us. And for the most part, everybody really wanted to hang out together as a group. And that, that's hard, because when you have 50 people, it's hard to coordinate. So, we have some learnings there for next time on how to better coordinate people.
Oh, sure.
But the time we got to spend talking to people and talking in groups and telling each other stories about our journeys was just, we all had this in common. We all had this GLP-1 journey in common. And it was so nice to be with people who understood. And I felt I was with, 50 of my closest friends, because they knew everything about me. You know what I mean? We were in Bimini, and I was telling Kelly, the travel planner, a story about something that happened to me at Christmas when I was 6 years old. And Mark Clemens was standing there. He goes, "Oh yeah, the magic hat story." I was like, "I've told this story on the videos
several
before."
times.
And he's like, "Yeah, Laraine, that's one of your standards." I was like, "Oh my gosh." So, it was so weird to me that people knew so much about us. I feel like I could talk about my weight like every day forever. And I feel like I do talk about it with, our Downsized family online every day. So it's amazing to me that people watch and they listen and they remember my minutia, what I mean? So it was really great. It was really great.
It was very different because, we sit here talking
to a phone,
extremely artificial way, to a phone right now,
to Christopher's phone,
or to a camera and a computer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That is just artificial. There's nothing real about it. There's no
Right.
person on the other side of this. So then to sit and shake hands and hug and meet real people who we all have this commonality. Mm-hmm. I thought it was extremely powerful to be able to hear their stories in person. And
yeah,
everybody was nice to each other and chatted.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, and when we did the live show from the cruise, we do live shows every week, right? We go on for an hour, sometimes 2 hours, and just taking questions through the computer. But these were 54 live people all looking back at me. And so I'm like, I'm not just looking into a camera. Now I'm looking at actual people that are like waiting to hear what we have to say. And I was like, oh, it was a little different, but it was very cool. Cause it was like, oh, people are actually watching this, and I know we have over 21,000 subscribers. So thank you to everyone who's subscribed. And if you haven't, please hit the subscribe button right now. It doesn't cost you anything. But it's just, it always amazes me that people are watching. So thank you for watching.
And so we opened the cruise. First of all, we toted 6 bags of stuff on the airplane of swag bags and T-shirts and all this stuff. So it was a bit of a process to get everything down there. But the first day, as everyone boarded, we at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. Anyway, late afternoon.
When we met,
we all came to the conference room. People checked in, got their swag bags, their lanyards, and had the opportunity. We had a big step and repeat backdrop so people could do it, a photo op sort of thing. And then we had downsized bingo cards. That was basically your standard bingo card, but it was a play on helping people talk to each other and meet each other. So it was find someone who is on semaglutide, find someone who's on tirzepatide, find someone who takes their shot in their stomach, find someone who has a cat, find someone who has a dog, and you'd write their name down. But it just gave these 50 people an opportunity to engage and talk and meet. And it was fun. Gave out some prizes, right?
We did. We gave out some prizes, and people got competitive for these prizes. We did the last night. We did Downsized trivia, and we gave away a little trophy engraved with
little plastic trophy,
engraved with Downsized trivia winner 2026. And shout out to Mayor Mindy. She won the Downsized trivia contest, so that was pretty cool. Because Mindy has been around with us since the beginning, and she's watches a lot, if not all, of the GLP-1 YouTubers. So she has a lot of good knowledge and information, and it was lots of fun talking.
It was a combination of trivia questions about our channel and us, as well as just general GLP-1 trivia. So that was good. We did an interview with the LaBenzes, Gina and Jeff, from the YouTube channel Anchor Moments. So if you haven't watched that, please go take a look at it. That was exciting. First live interview in front of people. It's like 2 hours long.
Yeah.
But it was a great conversation.
And Gina and Jeff are great. So they've been YouTubers for a while, right? So, and before that, Gina did some other motivational kind of things. And
they were teachers.
They were teachers, so they're very patient. They're very good at looking right at the audience and speaking right into the camera and giving you, some really great advice and ideas. So it was. She had a lot to say from her channel, and so it was great. People said, Laraine, you didn't get to ask very many questions. I said, no, I didn't. It was fantastic. She just
we're just there to prod people along.
I think I said, Gina, tell me about yourself, and she took it from there. So that was fantastic. It was great meeting them, and her husband Jeff was also in the interview. And I told Gina, I said, I love the way Jeff looks at you. He just looks at her like she is the most fascinating person that he's ever seen, and he is just listening to every word, and just like it was really, really sweet to meet them and to see what they're all about. So that was nice. You can go watch our interview with them. She's a type 2 diabetic, so her journey is a little bit different. Everyone's journey is different, but we know that type 2 diabetics have some other challenges.
Have a harder time losing weight.
Yeah.
In the meantime, I was having a minor medical issue during the middle of the interview as well.
Oh, did you want to talk about that?
Why not? We talk about everything.
We didn't really mention that. I think I mentioned it to Taisha because she's like, why are you going down to 2? What's on 2? And I'm like, the medical facility. And she's like, why are you going down there? And I'm like, well...
Yeah, so if you ever wonder what happens if you get sick or whatever on a cruise ship, well, they have basically a small hospital on one of the lower floors of it.
Yeah.
And I thought the fat kid in me thought my thighs were chafing, right? And honestly, 100 pounds down, they don't really anymore. So I didn't really pay much attention to it. I put a little cream on it and kind of moved on. Well, it turns out I actually had a infected sebaceous gland.
Yeah, he said...
Like at the top inner thigh, so it was very sensitive.
How do you look at this? What do you think? And I was like, that looks bad.
Yeah.
That looks bad. So when we were talking with Gina and Jeff, I guess...
It burst.
It burst. And
during the interview.
So if you
see me a little squirmy in that interview, it's because The problem was that it was infected, so it was kind of smelly.
And I think a couple people.
Taisha noticed it.
Taisha noticed. She's like, what does that smell? And I'm like,
so it was
I
me.
smell it too.
It's life.
So we got back to the room, and I don't think I looked at it after it.
Oh, it was rough.
You
didn't want to see it.
You're like, he's like, should we go to the medical, to the doctor? And I said, yes, absolutely, we need to go. He's like, it's going to cost a lot of money. I'm like, I don't care what it costs.
Well, we had just bought travel insurance.
We did. We bought a year's worth, a year policy of travel insurance through Alliance. That'll
Allianz.
Yeah, that'll cover 4 members of our family for a year, and it was a great price. This was a prime example of, sometimes you don't have travel insurance and you're somewhere and you're like, should I see a doctor? Is this really that important, or should I just let it go? I knew it was that insurance or no insurance, we were going to go.
It hurt a lot.
Go down and see it.
It hurt a lot.
So we went down to the medical thing, and they said, well, we take appointments at 4:00.
Yeah.
I think it was 2:00. And so he called and made an appointment, and then we had to come back at 4. And it says right on the door to the doctor's office, it's a $255 charge just for them to look at you. And then anything beyond that is an additional charge if you need medicines or whatever. So we're like, okay, fine, whatever. Because with this travel insurance, basically you pay it up front, and then you submit the paperwork to the insurance company and you get reimbursed. At least that's how I think it works. We've got the paperwork.
We haven't done it yet, so we will.
We'll let you know how that turns out. So we went down for the appointment.
Right, I went down. And it was a doctor and a nurse, and I'm kind of like showing them, and it's a very delicate
area.
It's very uncomfortable, but it hurt really badly, and it was a little smelly, and it was very necessary. But the doctor was super nice, really took care of me, cleaned it out. They had a whole pharmacy in there, gave me antibiotics, gave me like super medical grade Neosporin. He cleaned it out. It was pretty painful, I'll tell you, because it was a big hole where this had been. It was not pretty. It was. We talk about too many things on this channel, but it's life.
Yeah, and we didn't want to alert anyone because we didn't tell. So I think
that was fine.
I think people might have been looking for us in this time frame, and they're like, "Where did Laraine and Christopher go?" And and then it got time for us to do. We were supposed to meet at 5. Was this? This was, what did we do at 5 that day? I forget. But we met before we went to dinner. And so I'm racing around trying to get dressed and shower. But I mean, it worked out fine. It was just, something that needed to be looked at and taken care of. So I'm glad we did, especially the fact that they gave him antibiotics and they flushed it.
All that to be said, take care of yourself. Yeah. See the doctor. We say it all the time. This was a good time to have a doctor because it would not have... wouldn't have gotten better.
It would not have gotten better without antibiotics. So, and this was only like day 2 of the cruise, right? So,
So we did that unplanned, and it was $340. It really wasn't that terrible.
For
medication and everything all in.
Yeah.
So that wasn't that bad. We did an excursion to the Bimini Beach Club where it rained and poured for about 20 minutes, and the rest of the time it was lovely. We did a snorkeling trip in Nassau out on a catamaran with a bunch of viewers, so that was super fun. Big starfish. For those of you wondering, did Christopher line dance? Yes, I did indeed line dance several songs.
Lynn sent me some pictures of you line dancing too.
Yeah.
Lynn sent me some of the pictures that she took.
So I mean, I think when we finished up and got off the cruise ship, we did a short or about an hour long live from a hotel because we had a long layover. I think I said it was like the nicest summer camp ever, which it kind of was. So we planned things every day and had, activities, and then each day people had plenty of time to do whatever they wanted to do. It was fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, and we also announced during the live our 2026 cruise. The 2026 cruise will be
June 4th through the 8th, 2026 on Royal Caribbean on the
Freedom of the Seas.
Freedom
Yeah,
of
there you
the
go.
Seas, on the Freedom of the Seas. So it's a similar size cruise ship to the Celebrity Reflection that we just had our cruise, where we just had our cruise. And it goes to their private island, which is called Coco Cay, which has water slides and adult areas and all kinds of activities.
If you've ever seen a Royal Caribbean commercial, they show it. Yeah.
They did a big renovation, about 5 years ago?
Millions and millions of dollars.
And spent a ton of money on that, yeah. And it also goes to Nassau. So we'll probably do another snorkeling excursion
like that,
at Nassau, and then just go to the private island and do stuff there.
And this time it leaves out of Miami, Florida. A little bit further south, and it is over a weekend. We had a number of people request to be over a weekend.
Yeah.
You can currently book it. So right now, I believe if you look at it, this year's cruise is still up. I'll get the new one up here in the next day or so. But if you'd like to go ahead and book, you can reach out to the travel agent, Sandy, and not Sandy. Yeah, no. Roberta.
Sandy's my friend.
Yep. Roberta and Kelly.
So if you go to our website at thedownsized.org and click on the cruise tab,
yep,
you'll see Kelly and Roberta's contact information. So you'll want to give them a call.
We have a number of people that have already booked. So
yes,
super exciting. All right, what else do we miss about the cruise?
I miss someone cook all my food and putting it in front of me every day. I really liked, we decided that we would eat in a certain location of the buffet every day. There was a back deck that was partially covered but open, so you could see the ocean, you could feel the breeze or whatever. And so we met back there for breakfast every day at, I don't know, whatever time it was, 7:38, something like that, most days. So we would go out there and there'd just be, people hanging out, like our people that we knew. And so it was always fun to go out there and hang out with people and just chit chat and talk about what we were doing on the cruise, or, our GLP-1 journeys and all kinds of things like that. So I really liked, being able to have people that we knew that we could always hang out with and do things with. That was fun. We ate dinner together. So they had a section of the restaurant basically that was just tables of downsized people. And they did assign us a table, but Christopher decided that, every night we would switch around.
They just put signs that said downsized on all of our tables so you could move around.
So we just moved around within our group. And, we encouraged everybody to sit next to somebody new every night and get to know somebody new. So that's what we did. And that was a lot of fun, too, getting to really sit and talk with people one-on-one. Yeah.
So that's the cruise. We'd love to see you in 2026.
Yeah.
All right. So what else is going on?
Well, we decided that on our weekly weigh-in, we would start taking more questions from viewers. So that's what we're going to do. So if you have a question that you'd like us to answer on the weekly weigh-in, you can send it to me, Laraine at thedownsized.org, or if you go to our website, thedownsized.org, you can see a contact tab where you can type that in also. So our first question is from a viewer named Catherine, and she says, do you have any knowledge of headaches as a side effect?
So, yes, headaches is a known side effect. Is if you read the information from both Lilly and Novo Nordisk, it's listed in there. Generally, it's a less likely side effect, but everybody gets the side effects differently. Typically, you'll see it either occur early in the medication. We're not doctors. Early in the medication, or after rapid weight loss. So if you've had big weight losses, that may cause it as well. All of the side effects, honestly, are worse early in the medication, and they will kind of mellow out as they go.
Generally. Not always, but generally.
The typical recommendations for headaches, and I've had them on and off early, and I still do every once in a while now, is hydration. So that's one of those. Are you dehydrated? Start there. That's an easy fix. Are you eating enough? So just not getting enough nutrition can also cause that, and it can be a blood sugar issue. Beyond that, talk to your doctor because headaches can be an indicator of something else. So make sure that you're getting the care you need.
Alrighty. So, yes, headaches. The next one is from a viewer named Carol. And the message is, hello, Chris and Laraine. Love your YouTube channel. Thank you. I'm wondering if you could interview an exercise expert to discuss the benefits of walking, how much walking, etc., and what other forms of exercising we should do while on GLP-1s. There are so many questions regarding exercise, so it would be good to hear from a pro or a few pros. Thanks so much. Keep up the great work. Well, we did interview, we're always looking for doctors.
Doctors, coaches, nutritionists, any professional who has real training.
Right.
If you're one out there, send us a note. We're happy to talk to you.
Right. So if you're a doctor or a medical professional, we'd love to have you on our show. Send me a note to Laraine@thedownsized.org. Or if our viewers out there know doctors or have a connection, we'd love for you to put them in contact with us. So we're reaching out constantly to doctors all the time. If they say yes, we get them right on the channel. We've had several. We've had Dr. Alexandra Seae, who wrote the book, The Ozempic Revolution. We've had Dr. Spencer Nadolsky, who has a podcast called Docs Who Lift. So he is a big proponent of muscle building and GLP-1 weight loss.
What I would tell you, though, is because everybody's at a different phase in their weight loss and everybody is a different age and has different physical capabilities, it's going to have to be customized to you.
Right.
So, but the general recommendations are always going to be true. So is walking good? Yes, walking is good.
Yeah.
However, we've talked to people who were, 400 plus pound and broke their feet when they walked. So they could only do what they could do. We've talked to people who needed to lose 50 pounds and they could do a lot more. So it's really more a general guidance with the hope that you will find specific help.
Yeah, you really have to start where you are, right? So, and before you start any exercise program, you should really talk to your doctor, like Christopher said, about maybe, some limitations that you might have for your particular situation. One of the Downsized cruisers said, maybe I'll look into a personal trainer. And I said, well, that would be great because that way someone could show you exercises that would help you with your particular body type and situation, and you show you how to get started, right? Sometimes you just need somebody to show you how to get started, and so that's a great way. I think walking is a great exercise that most people can do. Not everybody can do, but most people. So you really have to start where you are with that.
But we're looking for people to do interviews with all the time.
If you know people, send them on over. And I think people think that we have all these things just lined up all the time to all these interviews. We're constantly looking. We're constantly looking for people like you to interview on our Downsized Dish series. So if you want to be interviewed about your GLP-1 journey, you can send me an email to Laraine@thedownsized.org. And we'll talk to you about your journey. Okay, next question. This is from David. I found your channel a couple months ago, and it's quickly become my priority must watch when you release a new video. Thanks, David. One suggestion is to have a generic Amazon search link on your web store, so if I wanted something different, you would still get the affiliate fee. Other podcasts have done that. I ordered the next model up connected scale to your recommended scale, but mostly based on your videos and recommendations. Anyway, I hope you get the 10%. Thank you. I started Zepbound at the beginning of May and down 20 pounds, only about 10 pounds a month, but I'm happy with that weight. Been overweight for all my life, early 60s years old.
So first of all, 10 pounds a month is good weight loss. You are above the average, so good for you. So average is 0.5 to 2 pounds. So if you're getting 2.5 pounds a week, that's pretty good.
That's great. Mm-hmm.
Second, the way Amazon works, any link you click on in our store, if you go to it, doesn't matter which one you click on, and add things to your cart, we will get credit for it. It's also not 10%, but I wish it was.
I wish it was 10%. It's more like 1 to 2.
2%, yeah.
And so it's kind of just pennies that add up over time. But if you click anything in our store, you're now in our store. You're now anything you buy, we will get credit for.
If you bought a car, we would get credit for.
So if you clicked on
if
you clicked on my fiber gummies and you looked at them and you said, well, I don't know about these fiber gummies, but let me click around to see something I might like better. You say, oh, I might like these fiber gummies better. Well, because you clicked on my link first, but stayed on that Amazon website, anything now that you put in your basket will get credit for.
So I can see what people are buying. I can't see that you bought it, but I can see big long lists of what, and it'll be like air filters added. I'm like, well, they just decided they needed air filters.
Right. So if people are just shopping, but they start with our link, we get a percentage of everything in that basket, right? It's like when you go to the grocery store and add things to your basket. Like if you put something in our basket first, or maybe you just pick it up and look at it and put it back on the shelf, you click the link and look at it. You're now in Laraine and Christopher's Downsized store, and everything you add to your basket, we get a small commission on. So that's how that works. And I guess, people ask me all the time, I want to make sure you get credit. I appreciate the thought of people looking out for us and wanting to support us. So thank you. So when you do click on our Amazon store, anything that you click on and purchase after that, we do get, a small percentage of. So thank you.
What's next?
All right. This is from Lindy. Just finished my 5th week on Zepbound from Lily Direct through my PCP. I found your YouTube channel, and with the help of my PCP and now your information, I feel like this will be a success. I do have the dreaded question about dealing with diarrhea. We get so many questions about poop. A lot of time on the cruise was spent talking about poop. After about 48 hours of the injection, I have to deal with the problem. Do you have a certain video that addresses diarrhea? Maybe I did one on constipation, but I haven't
we don't have a specific one on diarrhea.
My PCP has given me some suggestions, and it's better, but could still use some pointers. I hope you both enjoy your cruise. Thank you, Lindy. Thanks, Lindy.
So she suffers from constipation. I have very, very minor constipation occasionally. That's really rarely my problem. If I have a problem, it's diarrhea. It has been my whole life. It's not anything. That was ever diagnosable, or people will go, "Do you have Crohn's?" No, I don't have any of that stuff. But it's always been there. So for me, actually, these medications helped a little bit. But still, and particularly in the first few months, they would cause diarrhea. So you did the right thing to begin with. You talk to your doctor, and they can write you some prescriptions, certainly for that. There's also over-the-counter medications like Imodium and other things. And you might just have to test and see what works best for you. It's a little bit different for everybody. And then you may want to watch what you eat. And I don't mean watch as in calories, but I mean there may be some things that you're more sensitive to that cause it than
like
others.
Fried foods? What do you mean?
Yeah, like fried food, sometimes sweet food, sometimes alcohol, sometimes, and it's different for everybody. So there is no specific answer to this. Your body and your digestion is its own unique little world, and every time you introduce something into it, it's going to do its own unique thing. You might just want to write down what you eat for a week or two and see if there's any correlation between the diarrhea and that. The same thing is true of constipation, though. Some of the foods you eat can cause for constipation. And for me, there were a few things, like I had a hard time with tomatoes for a while. So tomatoes would cause me to have an issue. Why? I have no earthly idea. But if I pulled tomato out of and I think it was the acid, if I pulled it out, it reduced it. It didn't completely go away, but it reduced it. And then the longer I was on the medication, the more your body got adjusted to it. Really, I might have diarrhea now once a month, maybe. And it's kind of random and it sneaks up on you. And I don't know what you do about it. It just kind of is what it is.
Yeah, so your doctor can give you some remedies for that. I would also say anytime you have diarrhea, make sure you're replacing those fluids, those electrolytes out of your body. There's definitely some over-the-counter drinks that are good.
But be careful on those. So start with something gentle, a Pedialyte or something like that, because some of those have so much salt and things that they can make it worse.
Yeah.
Personal experience here. Don't.
Yeah. Well, you just want to replace those fluids if you are having that issue. So, and always talk to your doctor.
Yes.
Alrighty. And that's today's edition of the poop news.
As the stomach turns.
Maybe we should have a segment called, I don't know. Send me your suggestions on what our segment should be called about pooping. The poop news, the daily poop. I crack myself up. All right, moving on. We've got an email from Joan that says, have you heard of Wegovy going up in strength? It only goes up to 2.4 milligrams, where others are much higher. I have lost 50 pounds in a year, still have a way to go. I have lost 50 pounds and 68 years old and 5 feet tall. Appreciate any info.
So yeah, we've done a couple of news reports. Novo Nordisk has submitted to the FDA for approval doses going up to, I think, I won't get the number right, but significantly higher. I want to say 7.5, 75, something like that. I can pull it and I'll put it in the caption there. But yeah, they're submitted. I would guess they will probably be on the market in the next 6 months at the latest, because they're just waiting on approval from the FDA. Your other option is, of course, if you max out on the Wegovy semaglutide side, you could transition over to Zepbound tirzepatide at some point if you still have weight to lose, because it gives you that second action that might be helpful for you. Hopefully your insurance would pay it.
Okay, but
yeah, they're coming.
Yeah,
so
they're coming.
Stay tuned. Watch the news. We'll report on it. I assure you when they launch those. That'll be in the news.
This one is from, I only have the YouTube name, and it's Greg something. Are they selling the vials through the local pharmacies or only through their direct website? For pharmacies, if it's still just the pens, that's how they are jacking the price for insurance. If vials become available through pharmacies, I bet insurance would start covering only vials.
So this is Eli Lilly. Eli Lilly has released all of the doses for Zepbound in vials. They're only available through Lilly Direct. That's absolutely correct, Greg.
Not available
they're not
at
available
local CVS.
At local pharmacies. And it's only available as a cash price.
No insurance.
So no insurance is available. And the way Lilly can reduce the price so it goes down to $3.49 and $4.99 per dose is because they're bypassing all of the extra expense from the pharmacy benefit managers and the refrigerated distribution, and CVS doesn't get a cut, or Walgreens, or whoever you get your. So all that stuff comes out of the supply chain, and they can reduce the cost. Now we think they could still reduce the cost more, but it's a step. So I don't know that if they sold the vials at pharmacies, they'd be any cheaper, because it adds back all that cost.
Adds back all that cost.
Yeah.
So the Lilly Direct vials, your physician writes a prescription to Lilly Direct.
Yeah, they're basically a pharmacy.
I would love to see the price of the Zepbound vials come down to $199 a month for all doses. That is what I would like to see. If Eli Lilly really wanted to wipe out compounding, that's what they do. Make it $199. Who's going to buy a compounded vial for $199 when I can get Zepbound for $199? Nobody. So that's what I'd like to see happen. But right now the vials are $3.49 for the starting dose and $4.99 for all the other doses. And all the doses are now available as of July. Mm-hmm. Those top doses have just recently become available.
Yep. All right, is that all the questions?
That's all the questions.
If you have a question, please email Laraine at thedownsized.org, or you can go to our website and leave them in the contact section. Mm-hmm. Or a lot of times I'll go through and look at comments as well and pull questions. So there's a lot of ways you can get in touch with us, but we're always happy to chat with you guys and answer questions as best we can. So is that it for us this week?
That's it for us this week. We're just going to be, catching up on some work and looking at stuff we need to do for our next 2026 cruise. Oh, we're also going to have some meetups in different locations around the country. So join us live this Wednesday at 7. Is that when we do our
It
live?
is 7.
7 p.m. Eastern time.
So that's it for us this week. If you have not already, please like and subscribe. It'll make sure it alerts you every time we publish a video. And, we publish videos every day.
And I guess this week is 4th of July.
It is.
So happy Independence Day. And I hope you have a great time with your friends or family or wherever you are. Hope you have a nice holiday.
Thank you very much. My name is Christopher Durham.
I'm Laraine Durham.
And we are the Downsized. See you next time.
Bye.